Hey guys, welcome to Chef Grace's Place. Today we have Shaan Grande from What's in the Pot. And we all want to know what's in the pot, Shaan.
What's in the pot? Actually, today was leftovers, to be honest. Usually
Leftovers?
Mondays is a leftovers kind of day. Sundays I'll cook like, a fair bit of food and then, just leftovers on for the next day.
All right. So Shaan has a great YouTube channel, and the although you kind of do a little bit of everything, the main focus is Trinidadian cooking, right?
Correct.
Caribbean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The main focus is Caribbean food, but specifically because I'm Trinidadian food. And I try to kind of mix it up a little bit, use a little bit of Latin influence, a little bit of Southern soul food, a little Cajun, um, a little bit of Italian, a little bit of Middle Eastern. Pretty much the foods I like to eat, but with general focus on Trinidadian food.
So are you from Trinidad, or just your family is, or?
Oh, I was born in Trinidad. I guess born in Trinidad, lived there until I was about 8 years old, and moved to Canada. Lived in Canada, lived in Toronto, so just in the outskirts of Toronto for almost 30 years, and then with almost 3 years ago, my wife and I moved to Tampa.
Oh, I'm in Florida too.
Yeah, I think what's his name was telling me that he said a year in Florida. Yeah, so I've been in Tampa for about going on almost 3 years. This the end of this year would make it 3 years I've been in Tampa.
All right. Cool. Yeah, I saw you do something in Florida recently. You went to like a restaurant, but I was just like, oh, maybe he's on vacation or something, you know?
No, yeah, it was a doubles place actually in kind of more towards closer to downtown Tampa. Um, First time I was trying it because since I've been here, there's a few Trinidadian, there's a lot of Caribbean places, but I've never found the food to be to my liking. I think living in Toronto, you're spoiled with Caribbean food because it's very much like I guess Fort Lauderdale or that area where almost every corner or intersection is either a Jamaican place, a Trinidadian roti place, a Guyanese Chinese restaurant. So you're spoiled when it comes to eating like your own Caribbean food because it's literally everywhere. Where here at Tampa, there is a Caribbean population, but the quality isn't there. Like this one place is called Trinni Spice. It was actually really good, like really good doubles, really good pilori and stuff like that. But it's not a lot. It's not like it's not where I would say in Tampa you don't get it everywhere as like you would maybe in South Florida or even Orlando. Orlando has a lot of Caribbean people, so there's a lot more Guyanese people, but there's a lot more like roti shops and jerk places in Orlando versus Tampa where they're spread out. But then to me, I think it's like ridiculously pricey for some of the stuff, especially because I guess there isn't a lot of restaurants like
There's not a
um
lot of competition. They don't have
yeah.
to, they can charge whatever they want.
Yeah, it's like $20 for like a large oxtail dinner at this one place near me, and I'm south of downtown Tampa, but I was like, no, I'll just make it myself. So for the most part, a lot of times, like if it's something I feel like eating, I'll just make it myself. Like I rather just do that instead of going and spending $20 and I don't know if it's gonna taste good.
Well, I got to say though, the price of oxtail, since like I feel like oxtail is a victim of gentrification
It is, it is.
because it got so expensive. I was like, oh my god. I think my friend is from St. Lucia, so she was
Mhm.
making me oxtail, and I think she got a couple pounds of it, but it was like $70, and I
That's
was like,
ridiculous. Even like goat meat, which I
it's hard to
swear,
find
like,
good goat meat in Florida, down
uh,
here at least.
yeah. What
Yeah,
part of Florida are you in?
I'm in West Palm,
Oh, okay.
so
Um, I guess it's West
you're a
Palm
little
probably.
farther south.
Yeah. Here you can get the goat meat at like some of the Latin markets and stuff like that, but it's still like 7.99 a pound. It's like buying like brisket. It's like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's because not a lot of people eat it. That's why.
Yeah, I've heard like a lot of people have told me the best place to like this part of Florida. Orlando, because there's so many Caribbean people in that area. There's a lot of like farms that do halal meat. So a lot of them are Caribbean butchers, or so they'll do the halal meat. So it's a lot cheaper because you're literally going to the farm and you're buying halal chicken, halal beef, or goat or mutton or anything like that. So I haven't really gone, but that's what I've been told.
You should go check it out. You can
I
make
should.
videos
I
about
should do a video.
it. So, how did you get into doing your YouTube channel?
So what got me into it? So I've always been cooking. I've been cooking since I was probably like 8, 9 years old. Started with like making like instant ramen and turning it into like chow mein, making eggs, breakfast stuff, things like that. And so everyone knew that I like to cook, and you come over, whatever, I always making food, or I'm kind of the person that if I go to my parents' house, they'll be like, oh, if you're coming, make this, or if I'm going to a friend's house, make something, because we're really like your food. Um, I was working at this job as a social media community manager, and I got let go, kind of a company restructuring. And so everybody's like, "Oh, what are you going to do now?" Everybody is telling me, "Oh, you should open a restaurant." I'm like, I've looked into this, and it's not cheap, and I'm not planning on like opening a restaurant. Like, I know it's going to cost a lot, and it's going to take me a long time to actually start making money. Um, and I've even spoken to other people with restaurants, and I know it's definitely not the easiest thing to do. My parents actually used to own a small restaurant in Trinidad, so I know it's not like the easiest thing. So to me, I was like, okay, one thing I like doing, I'm good at social media. A bit of my background is I'm actually a DJ. I've been a DJ for over 20 years. So that's what got me into social media. So I'm like, I'm not shy in front of a camera. I'm not shy talking to people, different things like that. So I'm like, let me just try YouTube. So I did my first video was end of 2017, and it got good reviews. Some people are like, oh, I like it, whatever. And I just started kind of cooking the things I like to make. And it just kind of went from there. Pretty much when I moved to Florida is when I kind of just put a little bit more effort into it, because before I'd do a video once every couple of weeks, once a month. If I got busy, I kind of neglected the channel. There was still content coming out, but it was not a lot. Probably 2018 when I moved to Florida, I literally said to myself, I'm going to do a video every week. It doesn't matter what it is, I'm going to put something out every week. So since then, my channel grew from like probably 500 people to now I think we're at about 4,500. Not obviously, it's not crazy huge. Like I'm seeing some channels that, 50, 60K, or some channels that I would see started around the same time as me. And I'm like, wait, we had like the same amount of subs, and you're at like 75,000. What am I doing wrong? So either way, it doesn't bother me. I just kind of just keep on pushing out content. Some videos have done really good. Some videos, obviously, I still don't understand why they don't do well. I mean, you're a YouTuber as well, so it's just kind of like I saw someone put something out the other day, and there was no tags. And the thing is, for me, I guess when I went into going to YouTube, I kind of researched it and did all these like random online YouTube Academy, different things like that, how to make my videos better, thumbnails. And it's funny because you see like videos with no hashtags, no nothing, and it's like 70,000 views. I'm like, what is? And there's no thumbnail. I'm not knocking any of these the creators, but it just baffles me.
No, I get it. Like for like myself, like my best video, people, because I'm like, everyone's like, oh, you have to do the tags, you have to have the title, the description, or whatever. My best video was about how to clean a rolling pin. It had no tags on it,
How
and it
much
had
views
like
did you get?
over 1,000. And
Nice.
like all my other videos at the time were getting like they weren't even breaking like 3 digits. They were, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I'm like, how does this one get 1,000? And these got like 50 or 60, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting. Like I think I've been lucky to have a few videos that kind of put me over. Where like for some reason instant pot videos seem to do well. Like I have this instant pot crab boil and this instant pot pasta, and for some reason people love it. And I'm like, okay, maybe I should do more instant pot recipes. So
Yeah.
I've kind
Because
of
cool
started
people are
doing.
intimidated by the Instapot for sure.
And you know what? For me, I was like, you know what? I think Instant Pot is cool because I use it almost every week, 2 to 3 times a week, depending on what I'm cooking. But I realized there were no Caribbean videos for Instant Pot. Like, how do you make corn soup?
Mm.
How do you make kalaloo, pilau, different Trinidadian or other Caribbean dishes that I guess people weren't thinking you can use an Instant Pot for. And then some of the feedback I've gotten is like, oh, I didn't know I can make this and this. So yeah, I've gotten, even my parents got one. I'm like, this is how you make this, this, and this one. I was like, what? And then it's like the time you take to make some of these dishes on the stove, the Instant Pot doesn't have the time. I mean, it's not technically authentic, but at the same time, if you're in a hurry, I, I mean, by all means, use the Instant Pot. I love using the Instant Pot and my air fryer.
Yeah, if it comes out the same, like, do it.
As long as it tastes good, as long as it has flavor, that's all to me that matters.
So I did a little research on you, and one thing I really liked about your channel is like I went from like I forgot what I was watching. Um, I was watching something where you put the green sauce in,
Oh, the green seasoning?
the green seasoning, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And then I was like, but I like that I went back and you had the recipe for it, because I think one of the things that intimidates people from trying other cuisines, because especially like even like Indian cooking, not just
Hmm.
Caribbean cooking, there's always some kind of like almost like a mother sauce that's like in everything else that they're adding and you have no idea what it is. Like I feel like with Caribbean, it's the green sauce, the pepper sauce, that browning shit that
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
into everything. What's in that? I looked at the bottom ones and it just basically said sugar, and I'm like,
It's burnt sugar. It's caramelized sugar. So, like for instance, the green sauce. So it's green. We call it green seasoning or green sauce. If you're familiar with sofrito,
yeah, yeah,
so it's pretty much the exact same thing as sofrito. In Trinidad, we use a lot of we call it shadow benny or bandania, or culantro.
yeah. I've been
So it's
trying to
like
grow that. I'm not
so
having
it's like
success.
you got to grow it. So when you grow it, you got to put it like in like a small bed, and it just grows wild. But when it starts growing, it's like a little flower that grows on the top. You have to cut that so the plant actually grows more.
I keep
So
only getting the flower coming up. I keep
yeah,
cutting it off.
so cut the flower off, and then it's gonna start spreading. It'll start growing bigger. The leaves will
Like
start
a
getting bigger.
grass? Oh,
Yeah,
they just grow up.
yeah,
Okay.
it just grows up. Like so, if you ever go to the grocery or wherever that sells it, usually some of the blades are like the stalks are
Yeah,
like this
yeah.
big. So once you cut the flower off, it actually starts sprouting up bigger. For some reason, the flower inhibits the growth. What you could do is what I did was I would cut the flower off and let that stem with the flower start drying, and then just sprinkle that back into your soil, and that's more seeds, and they should catch.
Okay. All
But
right.
so back to the green seasoning. So our green seasoning is pretty much like a sofrito. Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, they put bell peppers in their sofrito. Us, with our green seasoning, it's shadow benny or culantro, um, cilantro, green onions. Some people put ginger, hot peppers, and pretty much for Trinidadian cooking, this is the essential. Doesn't matter what you're making. If you're making something with meat, something vegetarian, a soup, red beans, black beans, that is like our essential ingredient for everything. We're one of the few islands that literally put it in everything. Similar islands near us, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Grenada, their cooking techniques are very similar to ours. Um, because living in Florida, I've realized that Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, they season their meat with their sofrito, which is exactly like ours. I actually went to the grocery yesterday. There's a Latin market near my house, and I had to buy culantro to make green seasoning. So I picked up a bottle of sofrito. I'm like, oh, let me try this one. This one looks fresh, because the Goya one, or I think Iberia has one, it's not fresh. It tastes it's too processed. So I picked up the fresh one. I tried it today. Actually, I was like, yo, this tastes really good. Like it tastes like a sauce you would put like if you're eating anything like doubles or Pelori or anything. So they're the Puerto Rican, authentic Puerto Rican sofrito is almost identical to a Trinidadian green seasoning.
So you gotta explain doubles and the other thing that you just said.
Pelori. So Pelori is flour and split peas powder, like so yellow split peas, the flour out of it. So they grind it into like a flour. Then you just kind of make it into a ball. It's like a fried dough ball. Have you ever had similar to like it kind of looks like a donut, but it's not a donut, like a round donut, like the Dunkin'
Like a
the donut
munchkin?
holes. Yeah, the Munchkins. I was gonna say Timbits, but that's Canadian. So it kind of looks like that, but it's flavored. So you put it's flour, split pea flour, a little bit of seasoning, and you literally make it into a ball. You put like yeast, baking powder. Once it starts
What's the
rising,
liquid?
water.
Water. Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty much like a dough ball, a flavored dough ball. You fry it, and then you dip it with like a tamarind sauce or a green seasoning sauce or pepper sauce. And doubles is a dough, so it's fried bread. So it's a fried dough made with the same split peas powder and flour, and it's colored with a little bit of turmeric. And some people put a little bit of what's the thing? Some people may put a little bit of curry powder in there, and because it's yellow, so you fry it. And the thing is with this, not everyone can make it because I've tried making it, and mine still doesn't come out the way like you're supposed to. It like the authentic doubles comes out, and then with that you make like a curry chickpeas or curry chana, but it's not so much of a curry, but you put a lot of seasonings and flavors in it, and you cook it down really thin. I think I have a doubles video on there, the one where I went to the food place in Tampa on my Instagram, I think that's double. So it's fried dough with chickpeas in the middle. You top it with a cucumber, kind of like a cucumber. We call it a chow, which is like a pickled cucumber. Top it with tamarind. We top it with pepper sauce, green seasoning, and literally it's the Trinidadian equivalent to a hot dog stand. Anywhere you go in Trinidad, they have them set up. Sometimes, most times, it's either late at night or first thing in the morning. It's a common breakfast. Somebody will just grab that for breakfast, and usually the doubles man, they'll stand on the corner wherever they are, and they'll sell their doubles from say 6 o'clock in the morning till they're done. When they're done, that's it. So in different parts of the country, um, literally you probably find one on almost every intersection or every major area.
That's cool. A friend of mine that I used to fly with, he was Trinidadian, and he was telling me about doubles, but he
Mm-hmm.
like you explained it way easier. I was like, I still haven't like he explained it to me maybe for like half an hour, and I was just like, I give up. I have no idea what you're
It's literally fried dough with chickpeas in the middle,
But
with a little bit of a curried flavor. But
do they ever
yeah,
have meat in them? Because I think he was saying
so
that.
they do have, so of recently, probably within the last maybe 10, 15 years, there's some places started putting meat with them. A lot of people say it's not authentic, so they don't eat it with meat. But there are some places that I've had it with chicken. Some people put shrimp. I think if you ever go South Florida, there are a good few places. I know Joy's is probably the one place that is probably like the landmark Caribbean Trinidadian
It's called
roti
Joyce.
place. Yeah, Joy's Delight. I think it's Lauderhill, but that's like the landmark place. There's probably, I mean, you're on the other coast of Florida, so there's probably a little bit. Just go a little bit more south, and you probably get a lot of Trinidadian places. But you have to get doubles from a Trinidadian place. So my thing is, if you're getting Caribbean food, if you're getting doubles or roti, and this is not me being biased, the best doubles and roti usually come from a Trinidadian place. Um, the best jerk and oxtail will always come from a Jamaican place, and the best Caribbean or Guyanese, the best Chinese food will come from a Guyanese place. For whatever reason it is, Guyanese Chinese food is one of the best, and hands down, they make the best. They make one of the best types of Caribbean Chinese food. Jamaican jerk places, obviously, I mean, it's hands down. I mean,
Yeah.
that's their thing, just like doubles.
So the
Doubles is our
Guyanese make Chinese food.
Guyanese Chinese food. If you've never had it, amazing. Trinidadian Chinese food is really good, but Guyanese Chinese food, hands down, one of my favorites. And for some reason, it's just the way they make the food. It's amazing.
Were they colonized by China or something? Why do they make Chinese food?
So I guess with all islands of the Caribbean that were colonized by the British, when slavery was evolved, this is a history lesson. So Trinidad was Spanish. We were conquered by, we were founded by the Spanish. Then we were French.
Yep.
So we were Spanish for like 400 years. And I think about a couple hundred years, or about 100 something years, we were colonized. We weren't colonized. We were semi-colonized by the French. The French lived there, but it was still under Spanish rule. That's where we get Carnival and our celebrations before Lent and dressing up in costumes because that came from the French. Um, Fast forward a bit, the British took over the island and they colonized. They made it part of the British Commonwealth. So when at that point France already freed the slaves, so there was no more slavery in the island. So because of that, then all the British territories, because slavery was abolished, the British started taking people from different territories. So they brought Portuguese people in from Madeira and some of the other islands. They brought Chinese people in because they needed people to work the sugar plantations.
Okay.
And then when they brought Chinese people in, they they worked, but then after their indentureship, they stayed there. So in Jamaica, Trinidad, Guyana, most of the islands, there's a lot of Chinese people. So they brought their whatever part of China they came from, whether it was mainland or Hong Kong or Taiwan, whatever part of China they came from, they brought their style. Like if they were Cantonese, if it was more of a Cantonese style, um, where if I guess if they were more from mainland, they would bring like that their Cantonese style of Chinese food to the Caribbean. Then after that, they brought the Indians from India because they were a British colony and they needed them to work in the plantations or the sugar plantations. So that's pretty much why there's Chinese and Indian people in the Caribbean.
Yeah, you see a lot of both influences, especially with like all the curry techniques, you know?
Yeah. So and the thing is like our food is very much influenced by Indian, African, Chinese, Spanish um, creations. So, for instance, like you're talking about the browning. So, the browning part of it is from the West African influence of burning. So, in Trinidad, we don't usually use the browning that much. We burn the sugar. So, if I'm making something like stew chicken or something like pilau, what you do is you put the sugar in the pot with a little bit of oil, and once it starts burning and almost like molasses, that's when you put your meat. That gives the chicken the browning, the stew flavor. So it's kind of sweet but a little bit bitter. So that's pretty much why when you see the bottle of browning, it says it's sugar because it's caramelized sugar.
All right. But yeah, I was just like, wow, this is terrible for you. I bet it tastes amazing.
But yeah, and a lot of people use it in baking too. Like the browning itself, like the actual browning itself, it's good for if you're making like a fruit cake or anything like that. I'm sure I would call it black cake. It has a really dark color rum cake.
Oh yeah, that browning would make it super dark.
Yeah, so we use a lot in baking, but yeah, so the influence of the island and the different islands, you kind of have our food is kind of a big mixture of everything. You have someone might take like for instance, there's a type of chicken in Trinidad called curry stew. So it's curry and stew at the same time. So you curry and they say that's like both cultures coming together because those are the two biggest predominant ethnic groups in Trinidad is African of African descent and of Indian descent. So curry stew chicken is kind of like you would season the chicken like you're making curry chicken, but you would stew it. So you have both flavors. You have the curry flavor mixed with the stew. It's probably if you've never had it, it's amazing. Or you can try it. I think I have a video on how to make it. It's super simple.
Yeah, I gotta check it out. I'm definitely doing the green sauce.
Yeah. Oh,
'Cause,
once you start making that, and I mean, if you like your food spicy, add a little bit more hot peppers into it.
no, I saw that pepper sauce you made, and you left all of the seeds in it,
You
and I was
have to.
like,
The thing is,
that
if you're
shit is
making
gonna be spicy.
if you're making pepper sauce, you can't just make like a mild pepper sauce. Like to me, like if you're making pepper sauce, you got to make it hot, but you have to make it tasty. So you got to put a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of onions, or a little bit of garlic or anything like that. What my mom does is she'll put carrots when you blend it up to kind of smoothen out the taste, and you put, or sometimes people put a little bit of mustard. Mustard actually adds a really nice flavor.
And it will help keep it from separating.
Not so much keeping it from separating. It just the acidity and the flavor of the mustard goes well with the heat of the pepper.
All right.
I guess similar to like a hot Dijon, where you're getting like that spicy Dijon mustard, but you have the mustard kind of smoothing out the heat. Usually that's what mustard does with pepper sauce. I like to put mustard in pepper sauce if I'm eating like breakfast food. Because I
I'm
will
actually gonna
literally
do a
eat,
video on mustard, so maybe I'll add some peppers in there.
yeah,
Flavor
definitely.
it.
Because for me, I eat hot sauce or pepper sauce literally with every meal of the day, breakfast, lunch, dinner.
That's it. Just looks so spicy. I gotta link it in the description so people can see.
It,
But I was just
I
like,
think I made a papaya one too. The papaya one is
that's
like if you
perfect.
do like a fruit with a pepper sauce is really good, especially like if you're eating like stuff like fries or like tacos and stuff like that.
That'd
It's
probably be good
nice.
too with you ever had like the dried mango with the chili powder?
Like the Filipino like dried mango with chilies, like those ones.
Maybe. I don't know if it's Filipino or not, but it's dried mango with chili powder. That's all it is.
I
But
probably
that would
have
probably
like
be
we
mango
have
pepper
something.
sauce,
Okay.
you know, crossing it.
There is something that you ever heard of like a crack seed store from Hawaii?
No?
So there it's preserved fruit. So it's like dried mango, dried prunes, dried plums, dried peaches. And it's dried with like peppers. Well, in Trinidad we make it with pepper, but you preserve it with like a preserving it's a lot of salt. It's really salty. But there is dried preserved mangoes like that too.
All right.
So
Crack? What?
it's called crack seed. I don't know where the name comes from, but it's in Hawaii they call it crack seed. In the Caribbean we just call it Chinese preserves. But it's
Huh.
from I guess we both have that Chinese influence with some of our food. So it's a preserved snack. Actually, in if you ever go to a Mexican grocery, they have them as well. The prunes, the preserved prunes in a chili powder. So when you said the dried mango, that's what I thought of. I think they call it saltinas or something like that. But it's preserved. It just looks like a short, like a dried out prune in like a red food coloring, with lots of salt. And I know I've had the Mexican one. It has like a little bit of that chili powder on it.
Yeah, I feel like you know how like oxtail got gentrified? If you if you just called dried prunes like dehydrated plums,
Yeah.
you could charge like $20 a bag.
Probably could. You never know. You never know. I mean, Caribbean food has been kind of gentrified. I think especially like places like Toronto, New York, where there's people making it or making versions of it. But at the same time, I like to see kind of like that fusion because there are a lot of chefs too, where they're
Like in
Caribbean.
New York, and at least from New York, there's so much competition because there's like a Trinni neighborhood, there's a Jamaican neighborhood, there's everything, but they all compete with each other, and then the best one, people see that one, and the person from Florida will see that one, and they'll try to recreate it. But they have no one checking them, like
Mhm. A
saying
100%,
you're not
a
doing it
hundred
right,
percent.
and then they copy it, and it's not as good. But they're the only, Trinidadian place within miles, so it doesn't matter.
That's what I feel like it's here in some parts of Tampa where, there's a Jamaican place, but, you know, some people might be like, oh, well, they're going to deal with it because it is what it is. When I first came here, the one thing I looked for was Jamaican beef patties. And the thing is, in Toronto, we're such a West Indian city, like influenced by like a lot of our culture in the city of Toronto is influenced by Trinidadians, Jamaicans, Guyanese, Bajans, where something like a beef patty, literally where I grew up when I first moved to Canada, was more of a Greek Italian. neighborhood. We're lots of West Indian people, but it was predominantly it was called Greektown. Um, and you'd go to like the corner store and you'd get for lunch, you'd either get a panzerotti or you would get a beef patty. And it was in the same little oven, and it's your choice. So like you grow up like that's like your go-to lunch back in the day, when you weren't thinking about healthy, two of those and a Coke and you're good, right? But so when I came here, and the thing is, a lot of the bakeries in Toronto, they make a lot of the Caribbean bakeries, they're so popular that even like the mainstream grocery stores will sell them, and you'll get the authentic ones. So when we came here and I was looking, I'm like, there's golden crust. Golden crust is okay, but I'm used to buying like a case. Like you buy a box of 12. I'm not just gonna buy one, right? Because for me, that's like it is a go-to snack. Or you know what, I'm running late and I'm coming home and I just need something to like munch on before I head back out. It's like just pop that in the toaster oven, you're good. And nowhere had it. Like everywhere had like the subpar quality of beef patty that you can tell it was frozen, and they just put it in their restaurant. And then, I mean, if I wanted the frozen one, I would just go to Sam's or go to Walmart and buy the frozen one. So my latest video, I actually make beef patties from scratch because it was the only thing that was like satisfying because
So
you
I
can
saw
actually.
that, and I think we might have the same kitchen cart. I swear I have the same countertop as you. But I thought it was interesting because I've never seen anyone make the dough for it before.
Hmm.
Because people will buy it like pre-made, and
Yeah,
that always drives me crazy because like I really want to know like even like empanada dough, like, so by watching your video I realized like the pastry is actually, it's just puff pastry that's
it
seasoned with
is.
was it turmeric and something else,
Turmeric and curry powder.
and curry powder.
That's all it is. That's what gives it the flavor and that gives it the color. But yeah, it is literally a puff pastry dough,
Yeah.
especially the way you roll it
You
out, add the
Yeah, you laminate
butter, the
it.
shortening.
But
Yeah, and then
you want to watch my video on puff pastry, man? You can see that that envelope technique and get those real layers of butter in there.
yeah, that's the one thing. I'm not that much of a baker, so this was like I don't. And if you notice, most of my videos, I don't bake hardly anything like that. So this was like I was like I think the most I've done is pizza. Like actual baking and making the dough from scratch. But other than that, yeah. So it was a first time experience for me, but even my wife, she's like, "Yo, this is like better than anything,
Oh
like
yeah,
buying it from the store."
puff pastry from home. That's the thing too. Like the pre-made ones, usually they have like way too much shortening. It's usually all shortening and no
Hmm.
butter. They put like butter flavor in it. So like you could do the same thing and just do all butter, and it'll taste way better,
Yeah,
way better.
yeah.
So
No, I used regular butter and I used the vegetable shortening.
the shortening gives it more of like a crumble,
Hmm.
and it kind of like helps you out if you take too long making the dough, or if your
Hmm.
oven's not hot enough because it's got a higher melting point than butter. So like
Okay.
if the butter's too warm, it's just gonna like absorb into the flour, and you're not gonna get that poof. But the
Hmm.
shortening, it'll give you a little leeway. But also, when you eat shortening compared to eating butter, the because the melting point is higher, it actually leaves like kind of like a film on your tongue, and
It
that
does.
blocks you from being able to taste all the flavors.
It does. I know that. I know exactly what you're talking about. That film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I never thought about it. That's what it was from.
Yep.
I never thought about it, but yeah, no, I've had a few pastries where I've had that, and I was like, oh, what is it? But now I know.
I'm gonna, and then you're like, I'm never going back to the bakery ever again. But I'm definitely gonna make beef patties now that I know what's
Yeah, and
in it.
then you can control your spice level too. Like I think I only put a few peppers in there, but yeah, that's the one thing too where I found that when you there's usually mild, medium, or hot, or extra spicy, and to me, I've probably had one or two places in my lifetime that have had like where it was like where they said extra spicy was actually spicy. Where so for me with that, I love the fact that you can control your own spice level. Where you buy something, I hate buying something that says it's supposed to be spicy and I gotta add more sauce, hot sauce or spice to it.
But
So I
that's
like that.
way better than it being too spicy because you can't take the spice out. But you can add
Well,
more
that
in.
that that too. But for me, I find like if
You're
it's
one of those guys
spicy,
who can eat like the extremely hot Indian curry and like everyone else at the table's crying.
the thing is, per my personal thing, some some Indian foods I can't eat. Like East Indian foods, it's not so much of the spice, it's the flavor. There's some things that I don't know, I get really bad indigestion. I don't know. I've had some places where and I think it maybe just depends on the region of the food's from. Like I've had like North Indian food, which was amazing. I've had some South Indian food where it's like it is a little bit too spicy for me, but it's just the flavoring. For me, it's very different. Um, but for me, I like hot food, but with flavor. Like I know there's like, people eat, oh, the scorpion, this, and, or Carolina Reaper. But if you make like a hot sauce, like ridiculously hot, put flavor in it. Like I've seen and I've tried like, some of those hot sauces that you get from like those stores you see in the mall. And it's like, oh, the world's hottest pepper sauce, and you try it, but it's hot, but there's no flavor. Like there literally is no flavor. Or if you go to some of those wing places and they're like, the suicide challenge, and you try it, but it's like literally there's no flavor to the wing. Like if it's extremely hot, but it has a little bit of flavor, I can deal with it. But if it's like ridiculously hot and there's no flavor, it's pointless.
Yeah, I really hate that. That's so annoying. Cause I remember I wound up making like a chocolate out of a ghost pepper, and ghost pepper is like it's a really hot pepper. But
Mm-hmm.
what we did was we took all the seeds and all the membranes out, so it was just the flesh, and we steeped that in cream to make a ganache with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it like even like we got the pepper flavor, but even just the flesh was like extremely spicy. But it was really good because we were able to show off the actual flavor of the pepper as opposed to like just making people cry. But
Mm-hmm.
once you get into those things like the death nut and all that other shit, it's just about like the entertainment value of like watching some like what is that show where they eat the chicken wings, hot ones.
Hot ones, yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's
It,
entertainment.
it is. It is entertainment. And even when you watch some of those, I think there's a was it Man versus Food, when he does those challenges, and some of the restaurants they'll show you how they're making like their hot chicken wing, whatever, like 5 alarm chicken wing, and it's usually like the extract they're using, so there's no flavor going into it, so it's just the actual extract of the ghost pepper or
Just
the scorpion
capsaicin.
pepper.
It's
Yeah, it's
horrible.
so you're not getting any of the taste. Like I remember one time I went to this wing place and they had like the hottest wing on the menu, and you had to sign a waiver or whatever. And so it was a couple of us and we ordered it, and it was hot, but you can tell like it wasn't like a tasty hot. It was just
Yeah,
like it was one of those where the moment it touched your tongue, like you felt it. Whereas if it was a tasty hot, it kicks in after a bit.
yeah, kicks into the back.
Yeah, and then you're actually tasting the flavor. Like I have some scorpion pepper sauce. It's a Trinidadian company, but the way they make it, it's not just like a scorpion pepper sauce that's hot and there's no flavor. Like there's flavor, so you can use you if you put like half a teaspoon in your food when you're making like a stew or something or anything like that, it's gonna flavor the food. It's still gonna be hot, but it's gonna flavor it. Whereas some of the other peppers that are out there, there's no flavor to the pepper. There's just more of like it's just more heat. Like the Carolina Reaper, to me, I don't find there's much flavor from that versus like the scorpion pepper, where the scorpion pepper, the actual pepper itself, like you were saying, you peel away the membrane, the seeds, the pepper itself has flavor. Like
But
it
I
has like a
gotta say that the Scotch bonnet is used pretty much all the time in Trini cooking, and I think that there's more than one variety. There is a variety that's super spicy, and there's a variety that's pretty much not spicy at all. but once in a while you get a super spicy one.
Yeah. So yeah, so we call it a pimento pepper, or Trinidadian seasoning pepper. So literally, that's another key ingredient to green seasoning is if you put some of those pimentos in, because it smells like you're putting a habanero or a Scotch bonnet into your food. It has a smell and a flavor, but no heat. Very similar to if you ever go to a Latin grocery, there's ají dulce peppers. It's kind of like a cousin to it, where they smell hot, but they're not hot. It's more like they taste like a sweet pepper or a bell pepper, but no
The
heat.
green ones?
Yeah, they have it's like greenish yellow. They kind of look like a Scotch bonnet, but more like squished down, kind of. It has like a weird shape, but literally, it is a sweet hot pepper. It smells hot, but it's just sweet.
And there's a like you really only need one too. It's like flavor a lot of things, which is
And
nice.
they have the peppers too. They call them like 7 pot peppers. The reason why is because they say like that one pepper could flavor 7 pots of food. So a lot of times, like in Caribbean cooking, we'll put. I'll try to do this a lot too. I'll put like a whole pepper in the pot when I'm cooking. So if I'm making like curry chicken, stew chicken, or any kind of rice dish with meat, you put the whole pepper in the pot and you just let it cook with the food. When you're done, you don't burst the pepper, you just take the pepper out. And then the flavor and like the smell and the aroma of the pepper will flavor the food, but you're not getting the heat.
All right.
So even if you're doing like a stew or a soup, we have a dish called kalaloo, which is kind of like a spinach. Usually back home they make it with like a taro root, and very similar to I think so I saw. You're familiar with the elephant ears plant?
No.
Or it's this plant. It's from the root of like a tuber vegetable, but people grow
Mhm.
it as like a decorational plant. But it's similar to what we call in Trinidad, we call dasheen bush. So it's a type of tuber. So we use the leaves, and you have to cook it because if you don't cook it, there's crystals in the leaves itself. So you wash it, you clean it, and you cook it. And
What do you
we
mean that
make
what kind of crystals?
there's some kind of like chemical crystal or something in the actual leaf, like, so if you eat it you'll choke or your throat will get really itchy, so you cook
Oh,
it and clean
okay.
it. um, I think it's Hawaiians they use pretty much the same leaf. They cook with it. I think
What
they
was
call
it
it
called? The elephant
elephant ears is like the
ears?
the term what you see, like you buy the plant in like Walmart or any
I just
garden
keep
shop.
thinking of the cookies. Elephant ears. But
but but yeah,
yeah.
it's like a tuber. It's a root of a it's a plant. It's a leaf of a tuber plant. Then
But can you use the root or no?
yeah, yeah, I think you can use the root because I mean it's just a tuber vegetable. But I bought the plant because I looked at it. I'm like, this looks familiar, and I bought it to try growing it as
Do you
to
have a
use
big
the leaves
garden?
to cook with. No, actually, this is the first year I started like an actual garden. I started so I got like a galvanized planter box, probably like 6 by 3.
Nice.
And I just started with uh, cherry tomatoes, sweet peppers. I have some green onions in there. I got to get some cilantro to go in there. I have a habanero plant and I have a serrano pepper plant. So trying to grow it. Usually I'll grow like my seasonings and stuff like that in pots in my lanai. But this year I was like, you know what? Let me try planting them in the ground and then see how it goes.
Yeah. I mean I'm using storage containers because I live in an apartment, but it was way cheaper than trying to buy like a raised bed or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Raised beds are expensive. That's what I wanted at first.
Yeah. So I and then like a planter that size is hundreds of dollars. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I could just spray paint a storage container for like $10.
Yeah,
Like,
but it's funny because like I was looking at because I wanted to do like a lime or a lemon tree, but for me, I thing is my HOA is kind of a pain in the ass, and I don't want to plant any trees that are taller than let that grow really big. And usually like I want to do like a mango tree, avocado tree, a lime
Oh yeah,
tree,
you want to be able
but
to do
those get huge. So I've been looking at grafted plants
that.
to get in the ground. But then I stumbled upon people are doing planter boxes or not planter boxes, but like the storage containers or like the gallon, like the paint pails, like the
Yeah, the
5 gallon
5 gallon
paint pails,
buckets.
the 5 gallon buckets with lemon trees in it. And I was like, oh, because they're like, if you keep it in that, it's never gonna grow any more than 6 feet. So I'm
And
like,
you can buy a dwarf lemon tree or a lime tree or whatever,
mhm.
where it's grafted on different rootstock, so it's not going to grow super tall, but it'll like bush out.
Yeah, and so for me, I was like, oh, that's a good idea. I'm taller than 6 feet. So I'm like, even if it grows above 6 feet, I'm like, I can prune it, no problem.
Yeah.
And then you can keep it, in your lanai, or you can keep it outside for sun. But at least it makes it portable. And I know like this winter, like in Tampa, we had some days where it was like low 30s, and I'm like, this is cold. So, you know,
Yeah, you're still kind of on the frost line. So,
yeah, a little bit. Like once you go outside of, so I'm like in the middle of downtown Tampa to Sarasota, so I'm kind of in the middle of that. But once you go above, I guess, what's further north? Once you go above Orlando, anything above Orlando, like in that longitude,
it gets
it's or latitude, you're gonna get it's gonna get cold. Like they're gonna get freezing temperatures.
I
I
went
think
to
we
visit
had like
my
what?
friend once, and she works for Disney World. She works for Disney World, and I was like, I'm going to Disney World in like January. And then I'm like, I'm going to Florida. I just brought like shorts and dresses, no coats. It was a bad idea. There was like frost on our windshields. I was like, I thought we were in Florida. What's going on?
Yeah, it's weird because it's like I remember one of the first times I came down Florida in November. I'm like, oh, it's cold. We have snow on the ground in Toronto, in November, and we came down for Black Friday, like Thanksgiving weekend, that time frame, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be warm, and it was cold. Like I still had my winter jacket. I was like, it's cold. Like I didn't need to bundle up and wear different layers, but it was still pretty cold. But the
Yeah.
weird part is by lunchtime, it's like 75 degrees.
Yep. Down here, it doesn't really, there might be 1 or 2 days a year that it's like 30s, but for the most part, it doesn't freeze.
Yeah, we haven't. I didn't. Luckily, knock on wood, we didn't get any frost. We got. I think the coldest was about maybe 38, 40 around there, and I think there was just 1 or 2 days we had that, and then it just went back up,
Yep.
like by lunchtime.
But the it's fun. I love growing. I can't wait to get a house so I can grow stuff because I really want a tree, but like there's a lot of in the not like my stuff, but I have like all my planters, and then there's bushes that are owned by the apartment complex,
Hmm.
and they don't really like take care of them, so they're infested with weevils, which like they're like these little beetle things,
Oh, okay.
and but they loved their hibiscus bushes, so
Hmm.
that's kind of like similar to citrus, like that's what they like to eat. So I'm like, if I get a tree now, like with my luck, it's going to get infested, and then I'll have to, I'll bring it to my house when I can finally buy a house, and then it'll just infest everything else.
Whiteflies killed a lot of my plants. I had like a couple pepper plants, and whiteflies killed them. Like I went out, and I was like, "What is this?" And I realized it was like whiteflies. And the thing is, it was the first year I came to Florida, so I didn't know really about whiteflies. Like I've had pepper plants before, and I just leave it out, whatever. In Canada, wintertime, you have to bring it in your house, or the plant dies.
Yeah.
So I was so used to like the up north bugs for summertime, and like whiteflies it was ridiculous. Like I couldn't believe like it like literally attacked like two of my pepper plants. So I've been just trying to religiously make sure like I spray something on them at least 2 or 3 times for the season. If I notice anything, because they're
Are you
horrible.
just even if you don't notice anything, like you kind of have to, like, I use neem oil
Yeah, neem oil is really good.
because it's organic and it's not going to kill you. So I do that once a week right now because I know that if I stop, the powdery mildew is going to set in. I
Hmm.
still have some powdery mildew. I tried to grow. Talk about HOAs. I'm sure I'm going to hear something because I kind of at this point it's like it's a battle. It's because I'm just like it all started when I put a shelf on my porch because I'm on the first floor and but I'm also like positioned right where like the mail is and like the laundry is and everything. So I like when this HOA lady does her job, like she's lazy and she doesn't go see everyone else's porch, but she'll look at mine because it's right there.
Your
And
prime target.
yeah, so I had a shelf with some plants on it at first when I was first getting into the gardening. And she was like, "That's not patio furniture." And I was like, "It's furniture on a patio, so I think it's patio furniture." And then so she like started putting like notices on my door, like if I don't remove it, they're gonna charge me like $75 a day and like
Oh
all
my
this crazy
goodness.
stuff, like just bothering me. Meanwhile, there's like a ton of other examples I could point to where they were like breaking the rules of like you can't have like a storage container that's like a shed thing. You can't
Hmm.
like you can have like towels draped over the balcony or all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh my god, this lady's so annoying. So I read the rules and I'm like, all right, well I can make like the storage bin containers. And she can't say anything about that because that's a flower pot basically.
Hmm. Oh, so
And
you're
then
allowed to get away with that.
yeah, but I wasn't allowed to like hang anything into the walls or the ceiling,
Hmm.
even though like there's hooks from like whoever lived there before me obviously had like planters like hanging. So but you're not allowed to do that. So I created like these bamboo trellises that look like teepees with like
Hmm.
the bamboo sticks and like cotton string, and I just the whole patio is like enclosed in it. And I was like, what else could I grow that would really like piss her off? So I was like, oh, I could grow sunflowers. They grow really tall.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
I started growing all these sunflowers. They look really cool though, and but everything in there is edible. It's cool. So all herbs. And today I found out I had no idea that green hornets were real. I thought it was just
I
an
saw your Instagram post. I saw that. I saw that today.
dude. No idea. It was like I was I had to cut the basil for I made pesto today, and like this thing just came out of nowhere. I was like, "What the fuck is that?" I thought it was like a robot drone. I was like, because it's like a shiny metallic green, and I was like,
That's
"What the fuck?"
crazy.
And I was like, "That looks like a hornet." And then I was like, "Are green hornets real?" I looked it up,
I
and they
guess they
are.
are now.
They are. Who knew? I guess Kato knew, but whatever.
Exactly. No, I don't think I've ever seen one. Like we usually get like a lot of like just random hornets nests or whatever, but I haven't seen one. I know I think it's just usually like the wasp type or the smaller ones, but I've never seen a green one.
That was crazy. But I was also afraid it was like gonna sting me or something.
That would be
Uh,
the worst, yeah. Unless you get some superpowers.
that'd be pretty cool. I feel like it never works out that way though for
No,
humans. Like,
never.
oh, a spider bit me, you're gonna die. Like,
Exactly. Knowing my luck, it'd be like the most poisonous spider in the world.
yeah, I should probably look up if green hornets are poisonous or not. Because like if you see one of them, there's probably more.
Probably. Yeah, I've tried the neem oil with soap water to kind of reduce the bugs
Yeah, that's what
on
I've
my
been doing.
plants. And the only thing I hate though, the smell. I mean, I guess that's why bugs don't like it. The smell of neem oil is horrible.
Oh, it's terrible. It smells like used fryer oil.
Yeah,
But it's
it's
like,
horrible.
but I was also reading, you have to get one that is cold pressed because the enzyme that's in it, if it heats up too much, then that enzyme breaks down and then it doesn't keep the press away.
Oh, should look into that. I don't even know what kind of neem oil I have. I just have like a giant bottle of neem oil, and I was like, oh, I can use this. So
Yeah. So I made sure I got the cold pressed one, but it's working.
I'll look
I
into that.
forgot.
Yeah, because I have a lot of like I think I have some hedges in the front. They have like the white spots, like the powdered mildew or whatever they call it, like the white spots on it. And no
Yeah,
matter
the
what I
powdered
spray on
mildew.
it, no matter what I spray on it, like it's it's always there. Like I bought the specific thing from Lowe's or whatever to spray for that to treat the plants. Nothing.
Well,
Like
it's not, it's also like, it's one of those things you just like in Florida, you have to expect that you're gonna get it no matter what. But
hmm
like, another thing that really helps is to increase the airflow around the plant. So like if it's too bushy, to like prune it back so air can get in, because
Oh.
mildew doesn't like, it likes to be wet and moist. So
hmm
if you can get some air around it, because it's so humid in Florida, that's
hmm
why it well.
Oh, that's
Plus
good
the
to
neem
know.
oil helps because
That's good.
it's like, you know,
It's a full-time job taking care of plants.
but I'm having a great time with it. I got cherry tomatoes. I just had my first couple of cherry tomatoes today.
Oh,
I
nice.
started growing the Everglades tomatoes, um, they can grow through the Florida summer, which is really hard to find,
Oh, where'd you get those tomatoes from? I never even knew that.
I wound up like buying from like some Florida gardener blog.
hmm
I got some seeds left over though, so I could send them to you. They- But they're really tiny and they're delicate, but they're good. You know, they work for salad and everything like that.
In my area, apparently the tomatoes, so the area I guess technically I'm part of it, it's part of my zip, it's called Ruskin. And apparently Ruskin tomatoes are supposed to be like some of the best. I've never really bought them yet. But there's a lot of tomato my I guess before it got developed, before it got gentrified, it was a lot of tomato farms and strawberry farms because I know Plant City's probably like 30 minutes from here, but apparently they have like the best strawberries in the whole state. It's kind of the in between Florida, or sorry, Tampa, and going towards Orlando that way, going east.
Yeah, there's some kind of
But
strawberry
apparently,
festival too. There's like a
yeah.
garlic festival and a strawberry festival
So
in
the I
Florida.
know the Plant City Strawberry Festival is like the main one, like literally because that whole area is like farmland and it's all strawberry fields.
We might have to come visit, go to the strawberry
Mind
festival.
you, I've never gone yet. With COVID, I mean, I think I thought about going like the year before, but then with COVID, I was like, nah, I'll stay home instead. I'll buy the strawberries when I see them.
It's funny though, because I feel like I feel like Florida was shut down for like a week, and then they're like, "Nah, we're not gonna do it."
It I swear it literally was like our my county is pretty, I guess how you want to say, blue in a way. So the mayor, the government, they were kind of just they were doing and us and I think so Hillsborough County and Orange County, which is Orlando, and Osceola, which is like Kissimmee. Those counties were like on top of locking down before a lot of other counties were locking down. Like they're like, no, 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 we're locking down. Like we're starting to shut stuff down. We're putting in mandates, and I think Miami Beach was too. And they were, I think that helped the area not to go crazy because they kind of said, no, we're putting these mandates before the governor or whatever kind of
Yeah,
decided to put everything in place. So it helped, but at the same time, like I remember I was like friends and family in Canada, they're like, yeah, you should wear a mask when you go out. I would go to the grocery store with a mask and gloves, and people would be like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why are you
yeah,
wearing like a surgical mask? And it's so funny because you know, I'm not trying to catch COVID. Like, knock on wood, I didn't get it. I mean, I've got my vaccine, but I was not trying to catch COVID. And I'm like, if I have to wear a mask and look stupid, I'm gonna do it. And I swear, like 2 weeks later, everybody was wearing a mask. Like it was a thing. I was like, so I looked like a fool for like 2 weeks going in and out of stores with a mask. But I mean, it's the normal now. But thank God for Instacart. Instacart was like a lifesaver for me.
I feel like that's really what also it's just gonna stay like that too. I feel like most people are gonna be like, not only was it good for COVID, but like it's just easier. Like now I go in the grocery store and most of the people in the grocery store shopping are Instacart or, you know,
Walmart
whatever's
pickup or
yeah,
Sam.
whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
It's so weird.
You, we started using it probably right before like when everything started shutting down, and we would do the pickup. So not the delivery, but like just the pickup. And I shop a lot at Aldi, and the Aldi right down the street from me had it. And then the thing was Instacart, they always give you coupons. Spend $35 and get $10 off. So I'm like, why not? I'm getting $10 free groceries. You refer somebody and they place their order, you get $10 back. So I was like, I created an account. My wife created an account. I shared her. She got $10. I got $10, and then the hack is if you, I hope Instacart's not listening, but if you create two accounts, right? So say you and your significant other, you invite them or whatever, right? And you buy your groceries for a couple of weeks with your account. Then tell them, then they use the other account. What happens is Instacart realizes that you stop shopping from your account. So they'll send you a coupon, here's two $10 off coupons if you spend $35. It expires in 2 weeks. And I
Mm.
will do that. So then my account gets used. And then she will then go back using her account and then she'll get the coupons too. So vice versa. That's how we've hacked the system. And you know what that works too is Kohl's. If you shop at Kohl's, I have a Kohl's account. She has a Kohl's account. She gets an email for Kohl's Rewards by like 10%. I'll get it because you don't use it. Oh, you got 30% off the shop for whatever discount it is. I was like, all right, let's go to Kohl's. So doing like the because I realized some of these apps or sites, if you use it for a good bit of time and then you stop using it, they're gonna give you an incentive to
Point
come
back.
back to use it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Instacart definitely, we started using it when stuff started to get crazy, and then it got to the point where it's like, yo, you wait a week for like delivery or for pickup, even Walmart or Sam's Club. So those times, yeah, definitely you go in whatever. But in general, though, like a lot of times, like now, I just sometimes I can't be bothered to go to a grocery, and you actually save money when you do Instacart because whatever's on your list, that's what you're gonna buy.
Yeah.
If you say I need these 20 things, I'm gonna order these 20 things. If I go to the actual grocery, if I go to Sam's Club, I don't know, I'm coming back with like clothes, a barbecue, I don't know, a
Yeah,
new
I saw you have a
computer.
Traeger
Like,
deal. Where did you get that?
I actually got that from Treager. So I'm an official Treager ambassador. That was one of the cool things. I guess one of the biggest brand collaborations I've done since I started the channel. And it was brand ambassador. So I guess with all the other brand ambassadors, cook X amount of use their products in certain amount of videos, different things like that. But yeah, very cool, very interesting company to
Did
be
you
a
reach
part
out
of.
to them or did they reach out to you?
A bit of both. I had a referral from one of my friends who's actual Traeger ambassador. He has like a mega huge YouTube channel, so he kind of put in a word for me. And then the thing is, if you're a fan of, are you familiar with Gary Vee?
Yeah.
So I do his. I took the concept of he's like, if you message, like for instance, I think he said some kid, he's like, if you design shoes or hats and you reach out to every single NBA player, one of them is going to respond to you. And out of that one, they can flip you into being, a couple $100 in sales to a couple thousands of hundreds of thousands. So what I used to do was I would just cold call different companies, like cold emails. hey, I'm so and so. This is what I've done. You know, let me know if you're interested. And most of them, I probably never got a message back from a lot of them. Some of them I've gotten like, hey, yeah, no, we're kind of not looking for, influencers with under 10K for on Instagram or under, and it just kind of worked out that I reached out to them, but at the same time, one of my friends who's a creator, he was going through the same partnership with them, and he's like, hey, I'll put in a good word for you. Let me see what I can do. Um, and that's what kind of helped me with them. But at the same time, it actually helped me because I was featured on one of their Instagram stories,
Oh,
and literally it was for their Thanksgiving campaign, and they had their different ambassadors do different products. Sorry, excuse me. And I made macaroni pie, which is Trinidadian baked mac and cheese, and I made it on the Traeger, and I made it in muffin cups. So this was my collaboration of kind of doing a Caribbean barbecue, a Caribbean dish on a barbecue, something that you normally bake, by showing the versatility of Traeger.
do you want to?
And
Could you just, because people listening aren't going to know what a Traeger is, you want to do a
oh, so
little
Traeger
ambassador?
is, if you've never heard of Traeger, Traeger invented the pellet grill. So a pellet grill is a barbecue grill that runs off electricity. It has a hopper, so a little box on the side. And what it does is you load your wood pellets, so different flavor pellets, so cherry, maple, oak, whatever flavor pellets or type of wood you use. Once you load those pellets in, it has a thing called a hopper. So it takes the pellets in and it feeds it to this chamber that has like a starter. So what it does, it feeds the pellets, it catches them on fire, and then that gives you your smoke.
And then
But
the
with pellet
pellets
grill,
are just they're just compressed wood. There's no like
compressed wood. Yep.
artificial anything in it. There's nothing like
No, they
that.
have different flavors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's really just compressed wood. And what a pellet grill does, it's kind of like a convection oven in a sense, where you can set the temperature of your grill. So normally with a gas grill, medium is probably around 200, or medium is probably around 300, 400 degrees. High is like 700 degrees. A pellet grill usually goes up to about 500 degrees. But like your oven, if you're going to smoke ribs and you look at a recipe and it says, you want to smoke ribs at 225 degrees. On a gas grill, you're going to put it on like the lowest setting. On a stick burner or like your traditional charcoal, you're going to make sure you have to check the temperature and make sure that it's at that temperature. Then you're going to start putting your meat on, and you all consistently have to check the temperature. With a pellet grill, you don't always have to consistently check the temperature, because once you set it to 225, the system knows how much pellets to keep on feeding, so to keep the fire going and to keep the temperature going. So it's temperature regulated. So Traeger essentially invented the pellet grill. Um, and since the last 5 or 6 years, they lost the patent. The patent expired. So a lot of companies that made grills for them. So you can see Pit Boss. There's Z Grills. Masterbuilt has one. Rectech. Um, Louisiana, Oklahoma Joe's. Pretty much every company now. Weber created one. Every company now has their gas, their stick burner, charcoal grill, and they have a pellet grill now. So Weber was kind of one of the brands that they literally created the pellet grill. They're probably the largest pellet grill company in the world. But what I liked about them, and for me, I don't know how this is going to come across, but in the barbecue world, it's very one-sided in the way things are. When a lot of stuff happened last year, with George Floyd and different things like that, they were one of the few companies that actually said something about it. They got a lot of flack
Traeger.
from customers.
Traeger.
Traeger.
Yep.
I
Okay.
think Weber said something too, but Traeger themselves said something, and they had a post and whatever, and they probably lost a ton of customers from it that didn't like their political views. Um, so for me, I was like, you know what? It's actually cool to see a company standing by and supporting something that, we know it's wrong, and we know, things have to change. So for me, it was kind of cool to see, this is a company that's actually doing something. They're saying something. They do have a lot of creators of color, which is good to see, especially in the barbecue world. Um, they have a lot of women that do barbecue tutorials, and they're part of the Treager ambassador team, which is really good as well. Because generally, traditionally, when you think about barbecue, when you look at some of these barbecue cooking shows, generally, it's usually an older Southern gentleman,
It's a fucking
to be
redneck.
politically correct. To be, but yeah, so Treager, they have a lot of women that are their ambassadors, official cooks. They have a lot of people that are, brown, black, Latino, mixed, so different creators of color, and they've done a good job of, like, making sure that their brand is diverse. And for me, I was like, okay, that's cool. That's really cool to see, because it's showing a different side of what the barbecue world is. And I think Netflix had that barbecue special, um, and there was one guy,
Yeah.
Rashid, who was a Jamaican dude who was doing barbecue, and he was doing it with the Caribbean. So I was like,
He was
this is
killing
amazing.
it.
Yeah, I'm like, this is amazing. So like for me, I love barbecue. I always love barbecue. That's probably one of the first things I learned to cook
Did
as
he
well.
win?
I didn't watch the last episode,
Me
so I don't. I know he was in the second. He was the final two, so I'm assuming he lost for some reason. And it was the lady that won. You know what? Tomorrow I'm gonna watch that episode and
I'm
see.
gonna watch it
But
because I gotta know now. But
but
he was the best. He did
he was
like
good. He was really good. So yeah. So for me, like, I got into the barbecue thing. I got into the pellet grill stuff last year, probably exactly this time, because I wanted to. I had a big old smoker in Canada, and I couldn't bring it with me when I moved down. So I'm
oh
like, okay,
man.
I needed to get a new grill, and I needed to get I either wanted a gas or a charcoal or both, kind of combined. And then I stumbled on the internet web of what pellet grills are, and after that I was like, okay, let me try it. So I got a brand called Z Grills. They actually made the pellet grills. They made, like, the manufacturer the grills for Traeger at one point in time, so their grills look kind of like Z grills. Their Z grills kind of look like Traeger grills, and they're a lot more affordable, because
Oh
Traeger
nice.
is expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're comparing it, it's like a Cadillac, and some of the other brands, could be just a Chevy. So like, Z Grills at that point in time, they're a fairly new company, so their prices were ridiculously cheap. And it got me into pellet grills. And once I got into it and understanding how things are and how to smoke, and if I want to make just regular barbecue chicken or chicken wings, I can crank the temperature all the way up and cook it on a super high heat, and I'm still gonna get the same thing. The only thing is you don't have the flame, which is fine. If you like, you do miss a little bit of that with the flame, like, some of that little bit of that char, but as long as you have the temperature high enough, you're going to get it. You just have to figure out, your grill, and every grill is a little bit different. So yeah, that got me into that. And then just so happened, towards the end of last year, I got connected with Traeger, and I've been a part of their
And
team
they sent
Traeger.
you a grill, huh?
They sent me a grill, and I mean, back to what I was saying, me being part of their team and doing their Instagram story takeover, I literally had like 1,000 followers in one day on Instagram. And I was like, whoa. And as you said it, I had people that I would never think that would make like Caribbean baked mac and cheese on their barbecue, making it and tagging me on Instagram stories. And I'm like, are you serious? So I was like, all right. So I shifted the channel, I pivoted the channel a little bit more towards the barbecue, like more of a Caribbean barbecue, still keeping true to like just Caribbean food, but there's no one really doing that. I guess the Southern style barbecue with the Caribbean flavor, like, I'm gonna do pulled pork, but I'm gonna do it with our Caribbean seasonings. I'm gonna do, ribs, but I'm gonna do jerk ribs, things like that. So I kind of pivoted the channel a little bit that way, and it's been a success. Like, I think the barbecue is picking up. Um, it's a different point of view for a barbecue video, I guess. And you're seeing these foods that you love, especially if you're a Caribbean person. You might love ribs, you might like pulled pork, you might like brisket, Well, hey, instead of that traditional way that you think that it's supposed to be, let's put our influence in it. Let's put our seasonings on the food, and that's what kind of I've been doing with the barbecue stuff. So I kind of took a break on the barbecue stuff for a little bit. I wanted to focus a little bit more on just the regular traditional recipes and stuff like that. A couple fusion recipes here and there, like the beef patties, different things that that aren't normally in my kind of cooking arena. But now we're getting back into summer, and for
People are going to be
YouTube,
barbecuing, so they're going
everybody's
to
gonna
look
be
at
barbecue.
us.
Everybody's yep.
Yeah.
And I've been doing a lot of air fryer videos because I got an air fryer around Christmas time, and I love it. Like I don't feel guilty making like chicken tenders that are fried because I'm like I made in the air fryer. This is not deep fried. Like I
Well,
don't feel
also,
I
I
don't feel
feel
as
like
guilty.
when it comes to reheating, it's
Hmm.
better. Like, if you want to keep that crispiness on something, it's like way better than the microwave,
Oh, 100%.
but
Like
it's faster in the oven. So
I
it's like,
did bacon yesterday in the air fryer, and it was really good. Like I couldn't believe it because I like regular bacon, but sometimes I'll buy turkey bacon because I hate all the grease when you cook regular bacon.
stop it.
I'm just saying. So
You hate all the grease. You're not cooking it right.
no, like I hate the cleanup of the grease. That's what I should say. I hate
Wait,
the cleanup of the grease. I don't know why. I just it's annoying.
you're not supposed to
Um,
clean it up. You're supposed to put it in a coffee cup and use it to cook breakfast in the morning.
I should do well. See, my wife is pescatarian, so when I make meat dishes, it's literally just for me.
You know what I did actually? That because I didn't have any bacon, but I wanted that like bacon, not flavor, but like that crunchy meat candy thing going on. I made I roasted a chicken because I made chicken salad. So I
Mhm.
took all the skin off the chicken because I didn't want to put that in chicken salad. And I took it, even though it was cooked, it wasn't like crispy enough, but I put it on a sheet pan and then I took some of the chicken fat and
Mhm.
like basically coated the skin in that, and then I put that in the oven. That shit came out like chicken bacon. Like
Oh
it's,
man, that sounds good. That sounds really good. I gotta try that. If I have some
it's
leftover chicken skin, I should try that.
fucking good. I was like, damn. I think I saw Jacques Pepin do it once, and I was
Mhm.
like,
If you season it with a little bit of like liquid smoke or something, it'll give it that smoky bacon flavor.
well, after I did it, I was like, I should have put like a barbecue rub, like a dry one on it.
Mhm.
That would have been amazing.
That's cool. Now I gotta try that now. Usually,
Oh
I'll
my
usually
god, doing
store
that on
the.
the Traeger actually, that would probably be really cool.
That'd be cool because you get the smoke flavor. Yeah, I actually gotta do. I gotta tinker with some recipes. You give me some good ideas. I gotta tinker with a couple recipes. Maybe try some like
Jerk
smoked chicken
chicken
skin.
skin bacon. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. I'll have to shout you out if I do that.
Yeah.
I gotta find enough chicken skin to do it though.
Yeah. You need like one or two chickens, a couple
Yeah,
chickens.
probably you need like a whole chicken, like a couple large, bigger size chickens, and then just these like take out all the skin, and probably that'd be enough.
Now you can make a pulled chicken sandwich, like pulled chicken, and then put the
Hmm.
chicken bacon on top of it. There you go.
True, true.
That curried chicken stuff,
Hmm.
chicken stew you were talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
Now we're thinking.
yeah. Yeah, exactly, exactly. What's your cutoff time, by the way?
I don't really have a cutoff time, but I should have a cutoff time because Noel's in the back room, just like waiting to come out. Before
No,
you
because
were
I was gonna say,
talking,
yeah, I
shit,
didn't
and
even
I was
realize the
like,
time. I was like, oh, this is gonna take an hour. No, but you want to wrap it up because yeah, I think it's about. I gotta do a
yeah, we'll
couple
wrap
other
it up. You
things.
can always come back.
Yeah, we'll definitely do. We'll do a repeat summer episode. I do want to do like I'm probably gonna start doing like some IG lives and stuff on my end. So I'll definitely let you know, and we'll definitely do a
Okay.
part two on my channel.
All right. Awesome. All right. So thanks for watching Grace's Place
Oh,
and
that's
Chef
that's the
Grace's
wrap up.
Place. And I'll see you next time. um, yeah, we'll see you next time.
Thank you for
Um,
having me. I really appreciate it. It was great. Like honestly, the conversation was perfect. I couldn't believe like we're here for an hour and a half already.
yeah.